Recording pause. Yes. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome.
Bueno.
Welcome to the Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast. I am super, super excited to introduce to you this amazing amiga. Her name is Sandra Williams, and she is my friend and a fellow conscious creator. Sandy is known as a woman of faith, conscious entrepreneur, conscious co-creator with the divine. Okay, so we're going to circle back with that because I got to know why she is known as that. Sandra's top 3 values that shape the way she leads her life, family, and businesses are harmony, self-empowerment, and soul-centered. Oh my God, these are amazing words that I love. Sandra is co-founder and president at Capital Direct Funding Incorporated. It's a private money lender company, which is family run, okay? This is familia. And we all know those who have worked with families, you can get along or you can't get along, but this amiga gets along with her family and they are one of a kind. I'm super excited to have her here. She's going to talk about how it all began for her and definitely about the spiritual nature of her business and all of her projects. And we're just going to, move forward with this because let me tell you something. She's got so much to give, so much value that I just want to get started. So, corazón, Sandra, please, please, please tell our listeners out there how on earth you started a company, like at a very, very young age. So tell us what's the name of the company, what it's about, and how that all started.
Awesome. Thank you, amiga. I love you so much. Thank you for the acknowledgement and the open heart that you have to create space to have this conversation. So first, I want to acknowledge you for that. Thank you, babe.
Thank you.
I would like to start with my familia because it always does start with them. They are my business partners. So my father is Frank Williams, and he had been in the mortgage industry and had, like everyone else, had suffered from the recession. And so we came out fighting, and he came to me and he said, Sandra, I need your help. And I said, okay, Dad, I'll do this. I'll probably do it for probably a year or so after I graduate and finish college. But after that, I think I'm going to go do my own thing. And he's like, okay, all right, Sandra, that sounds good. We'll see how that works out. And he's totally open and he's grateful. So I'm in university and I'm helping him. And so it was perfect because it was a good balance between me going to school and helping him. So it was very, boutique, very small. And so then I went on and I graduated, and I really shared with him that, okay, I'm going to go out and live in England. I went to get my master's degree over there. Okay. And I said, okay, I'm going to stay out there.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Tell me about that because England, you're born and raised in LA, right?
So LA, yes.
You're going international. Like how?
Right. I know. I felt so blessed that I had beautiful relationships during high school who opened my mind to it. And they discussed study abroad and how they can't wait. Because when they mentioned university, they mentioned study abroad, like right next to it. It was, one wasn't without the other. And for me, I was the first person in my family to graduate. So I said, okay, if this is college, then study abroad seems like the normal thing in my mind, right? With those relationships, it was their normal. And it was so beautiful to have had those relationships. And so with them, they shared with me like, oh, and I did my research and I knew I wanted to go to England. I have always had this soft spot for England. I don't know what it is. It's the tea, it's the Cotswolds, it's just the castles. I don't know. It was just such a magical place for me. So yeah, it was definitely, I want to give the contribution of why that happened. It was the relationships and friendships that I had in my life at that point in time that exposed it to me. And I would definitely say my family to just look at me and just say, yes, of course, why not?
Mm-hmm.
And not be, ay, mija, ¿por qué? Or no, they weren't like that. They were like, okay, especially my dad. He was like, okay, what do we got to do? Mind you, when I went the first time, it was 2009, and that was right when everything was happening. And so the pound was double. And my dad just looked at me and just said, we're going to do this. If you want this, this is going to happen. And he put me like in a bubble where I didn't really know the magnitude of what was going on around me, except that I had a vision and then I had his support and my family's support to go and do this.
Yeah.
And it was normal.
Yeah, it's so beautiful because you need family. La familia, like that is of utmost importance when you really want to build your career and get that grounded, that foundation. I 100% concur with what you're saying because that's exactly how it is. Exactly how it is.
Yeah. It was really beautiful to have that support where I had my family who hadn't even traveled across the Atlantic Ocean. My mom hasn't even traveled anywhere. And yet it was a very, okay, Sandra, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for having been doing that. And so when I shared with them, I fell in love with it. And I ended up getting my master's over there since I studied abroad during my junior year of college. I said, I want to come back. And so I did. I ended up applying to the University of Southampton, and I earned my master's degree out there. And so my intention was to stay out there, and who knows what that world would have been, right? Yeah. But I definitely came back and knew that once I was working with my father, that I was in it for the long haul. It was definitely something of an experience for me to appreciate my family, appreciate the culture here. Being away allowed me to have that appreciation. So at first it was like, I want to go and stay out there, right?
Of course.
And then it transformed and it kind of turned into, wait, I miss the carne asadas. I miss the birthdays. I miss the, I really appreciated, I think, more my home.
Right.
So coming back, I knew it's what I wanted was to help build this family business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how it kind of happened.
So, okay. So now you have this business with your dad. So tell us about how it all works, because I mean, it's not a bank, but it does lend money. And so many of our listeners have no idea that there's private lending, companies that are private lending. So can you tell us more about that?
Yes, I'd love to. So I remember growing up and asking my dad, what do you do, Dad? And he's like, I sell money. And I was like, okay, Dad. Right? That was my brief understanding when I was growing up. And then here I am in a private money lending business now. So the way it works is we have this experience of underwriting and structuring real estate transactions and really understanding the key fundamentals of what is a successful transaction. And when that is possible, we're able to mitigate risk and we're able to connect people with opportunity. So with that, we connect our portfolio of investors who we have beautiful relationships with, who trust us in connecting them with real estate opportunities, and they can lend and deploy their money to earn a return or a yield on their money. So that is the investor perspective. And then we connect them with borrowers who wouldn't otherwise qualify for banking guidelines, and then they get connected to what is called a private money loan. So we are the connector and the liaison for this ecosystem of people who wouldn't otherwise know that they have options. So one would be an investor has options to make their money work for them outside of the stock market. And then we also give options to borrowers who aren't meeting their guidelines and say, hey, you know what, I need something in the transition. I need some help. And then we connect those two together, those parties together. And then more of the ecosystem has grown from there because of those opportunities. But as I see myself in this ecosystem, I'm truly the person who orchestrates the synergy. As you can see, there's many moving parts with each transaction, and a certain finesse needs to get created. And with my business partner, with my dad, and also with my brother Francisco, I really like to say I bring the heart into it and the humanity and seeing the situation. And they definitely have their logical, analytical, very masculine approach to things. Yeah. So I feel like we have a really great harmony working together.
Well, that's beautiful, because in order for things to really work out, there has to be an alignment of the masculine and the feminine energy. And that's why you guys are super successful, because of that. So I am super excited for the word ecosystem. Okay, girl, that's like a bomb waiting to explode. Okay, tell us more about this ecosystem. I'm so
Yes, we have seen so much opportunity come our way, and we're very blessed and grateful. And so we have seen how can we create more value to our investors. So we had a really outward approach, and it's slowly going inward, and we'll go to that part. But outwardly, I'd like to share we have a loan servicing platform. So for our investors who like to lend out their money, but they don't feel too comfortable with collecting payments and, you know, making sure there's insurance and the property taxes are all paid, and they kind of just want to receive that monthly payment, we have a loan servicing arm that helps facilitate that. We also have a project management arm. We have my brother Francisco has his commercial brokerage arm, and we also have a debt fund, Williams Capital Group. So you can see as the value is growing with the businesses and services that we're offering. So you see how it grows outwardly as an ecosystem. We have the investor with the fund or the individual note. Then we have capital direct funding, right, with connecting the opportunities. Then we have the loan servicing company dispersing the borrower's payments. And then we have project management, if there's any projects that need to be done and be overseen. Recently, because of COVID, we are seeing that there is a need for lender oversight for property management, making sure that the property managers are complying with the new COVID, requirements. And so we have seen we're really participating in the life cycle of the entire transaction. Now going more inwardly, Frank has always, I call my dad Frank. Frank has always, I want to always give him, kudos and acknowledge him. Yes, our salsa dancer, and also the big heart where he's always wanted us to volunteer. So we've always been a community involved, engaged family business. So he definitely he goes to his West Covina Bruins Little League. And then we also have Francisco, who is part of CCIM. So we have a lot of organizations that we contribute and engage with. I've really taken it to another step.
Oh, yes, you have, my dear lady. Oh, let me tell you, this woman has taken it definitely to another level, but this is where the divine comes up. And this is where, without really wanting it, the money will flow because you are super in touch with the divine. And now that I'm like telling you about this, I'm thinking, now it makes sense, the title that you have placed, which is a woman of faith, conscious entrepreneur, conscious co-creator with divine. So, oh, please elaborate.
Yes. Yes, I would love to share that. With that culture that, my family has definitely engaged in, I've been on a path. I went and participated with NAHREP, a National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, where I developed beautiful relationships. I've also been participating with the National Latina Women's Business Association. So I've definitely built some really beautiful relationships who ended up connecting me always to the ongoing, I guess, the next pebble that I end up stepping on, right?
Yeah.
So then I end up getting introduced to Dr. Yasmin. I do a multicultural leadership program, definitely focusing more on my authentic story. Mm-hmm. Then it was beautifully, just evolved into being introduced into prosperity homes. And what I was really looking for is a balance and a harmony of where I am contributing outwardly to a social cause, but in alignment to my real estate industry.
Right.
And so that's where I ended up meeting Prosperity Homes. And I am a board of director, because when I get involved, I jump all in.
All in.
I'm like,
oh yeah,
how can I get involved?
Exactly. So Prosperity Homes is a not-for-profit organization, and their what is their mission? Just so that we're clear.
Yes. So the mission for Prosperity Homes is to have to harness the real estate community energy into uplifting humanity by building homes for women and children.
I love that. That is so up my that just brings chills to my spine, girl. This is beautiful. And I think more amigas need to know that these are amazing programs that help other amigas who really need the help. Because I know that this Prosperity Homes has created homes for single moms who don't have money to purchase homes, that have been homeless. And what a beautiful synergy that you bring to this company. Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
So we have an international arm, and then we also have growing initiatives here on this side of the border. So right now, whenever we build homes, they are in Ensenada, Mexico. The organization has gone to Peru, Colombia, and done different builds before I had been involved in the organization. Right now, the Ensenada has been the most consistent location of where we've been partnering up on. And the initiative for the single moms here in California, in LA specifically, it is to help them with the process of having housing. So right now it is helping them with essentials when they are moving in to their apartments. And we are definitely creating also a life cycle approach to where they can go ahead and eventually own their own home. So it is a life cycle approach where it's more sustainability. It's like, how do we plant the seeds now? This is a really big, complex issue, but how can we take one family at a time and show them each step at a time? So it's definitely been a beautiful process being part of the organization, because it's through them that I have been exposed to so much of the conscious co-creating dynamic and education. Because of Prosperity Homes environment, they have also an ecosystem with giving business soul and educating about what's more and more, what does it look like to be a conscious entrepreneur. And so it's through that community that has really been a beautiful growing experience, and knowing that I'm definitely finding a beautiful tribe there to be a part of.
Oh, wow. And so how can our fellow listeners join in with you and with the program, and how can we be more of service and support?
Yes, awesome. So we, before COVID, we're going to Ensenada every other month to help build a beautiful home in Ensenada. And it would be a Saturday, Sunday, come back Monday type of trip. And now, because of everything, we just went on our first one in July of this year, and it was such a heart-opening experience for us as the community, having not been able to go and and be of service for a while. And then also the family, they were just so grateful that we were even willing to do it throughout this time. So our next build is going to be in September, I believe the 12th, 13th, and 14th. And they can check out the website prosperityhomes.org and stay up to date on the next builds. And all you need to have is a pair of gloves and be willing, because there's no construction skills required beforehand, because believe me, the project manager on site will be able to help you and believe in you and know that you'll be able to make it happen.
Oh God, this is so beautiful. We're definitely going to put this in our show notes so that the women and men that listen onto the podcast have access to this. And what I'm promising you, Sandra, that when my mastermind is built out, which is going to be launched in September, part of the proceeds of that mastermind will go to Prosperity Homes, because I believe in it. And when we help women, we help humanity, because women are the mothers, the Mother Earth, Mother Earth, Mother Woman. Oh, I'm just so like, I love this. I love this.
There's so much alignment. Thank you. We're so grateful. We really, this tribe is changing everything, really, by being heart focused and focused on the service. It's beautiful. I'm very happy to have you as an ally of the organization. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I'm super excited. I'm here to support you in this. When you mentioned it to me, I was like, oh my God, this is, I mean, literally, I felt like God was just brought it to me, like just like downloaded it. And I'm like, okay, this is what I need to be doing. And I mean, like I say, mis locuras, like running this podcast, come on. I'm a lawyer. I'm a trained lawyer, and doing a podcast, it's just like, it's not really something that lawyers do, right? And so I'm just fortunate that now in what I call my second act, because I'm a middle-aged woman, like my heart has completely changed from a masculine energy to more of a feminine drive. And I love everything that has to do with leveling up humanity, because in my mind it's a macro life, and that's the company right now, now have, which is living macro, because it was something that was like lodged in my heart that we need to stop thinking micro level, be individualistic, driven by the ego. We need to stop that. If you draw from your heart, from your soul, magic happens. Magic happens. Yes. And so I'm just super, oh my God, I'm super honored that you are here and that you are talking to us about Prosperity Homes and then how can we support. And I can go on and on and on and on. And I've known you for some time now. And Frank, your dad, has always spoken so lovely about you since I've known him. And it's been years now. And of course, when I met him at BNI, which stands for Business Networking International, I knew that I needed to have him in my life and thereby having Sandy in my life. So I'm just super honored to have you in my life. And I'm honored to have you here at this podcast because I think a lot of women, they don't know where to start. They don't know where to start. Right. And that's why I want amigas to understand that, you know what? Like my girlfriend says, action brings clarity. So the first thing we need to do is act. If your heart is calling to help those in need, which in this case would be Prosperity Homes, go for it. Mark it in your calendar, September 12th, 13, and 14 of this year. If you have the ability to go and help, help. If you can't help with your hands, help with your money. I am so, oh my God, I'm over the moon. I'm over the moon. You are an amazing soul.
Thank you.
You're beautiful inside and out. And I just can't wait.
And that's what I feel like I've been working on. I've been working on the inside.
Yes, yes.
Right? Because being in, like for you exactly, like being an attorney and these accomplishments that as women, you know, we've never been privy to such a strong, I guess, access to this entrepreneurship than ever before. And it's like once we have reached this level, we're like, wait, there's something more here. And that's where it goes into the conscious creation, co-creating with the divine, because it has been this, how can we balance out and harmonize what's within? Because we are feminine. We have this natural big heart. How can we let that be outwardly expressed? But it's because it wasn't modeled outwardly, so we had to go in. So then that's when I started doing more and more work. And I love this little Instagram post I saw, and it said that healing is the new growth.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because I feel like I had done so many productivity, you know, training with business, right? It's all about the mindset and everything like that. But I feel like now it's gone from here to here. Like, how can it go from your mind into connecting more and more with our heart?
Yeah, because all business is a spiritual growth, whether we like it or not. Those of us that are in this line of energy and understand it, we know that that's where it comes from. And so instead of keeping your brain just, you know, using your brain all the time, we got to drop into our heart, because that's where alignment, that's where the soul prevails. And it's so beautiful. Like now, if I tell my dad, I tell him, I'm like, ya puedo dormir. Because it was really hard for me as a litigating attorney, practicing attorney, which I don't practice. Literally, I have stopped going into the courtroom purposely not really getting involved in cases, because I realized that there was that correlation between my health and the law. Like I realized, and so once I removed myself from that, I started to sleep better. I started to feel better. I mean, you name it, better, whole 9 yards. So I love this movement that is driven by the soul, by the heart, by the divine. And I know you are so spiritual, and I mean to the point that you went to India, didn't you?
I went to Bali,
Oh, Bali,
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Okay.
Yes.
And you did something very, 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 some people would say very drastic. And I'm sure a lot of Latinas would have said, está loca, está loca. Please tell them, because I'm itching. I know what happened and I want you to tell.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes, it has been a beautiful path that has been like evolving. Once I did the leadership program and I became a coach myself for the last, the 2 years beforehand. And I really just was in sisterhood. I was with a beautiful group of women who were holding each other in all of their truth and all of their raw. And I loved it. It was absolutely the nurturing I needed that I had been seeking, really. So I'm always indebted to the Dr. Yasmin Institute for the beautiful sisterhood that really allowed me to grow. It was with those sisters that they introduced me to the idea, really, of going to Bali. One of my other fellow sisters, she looked at me, she grabbed me by the shoulders, and she's like, Sandra, out of anyone, you are the one that needs to go to Bali. You're going to love it. And I was like, well, okay. I hadn't traveled in a bit because also working with my company, with the family, I noticed I hadn't done a trip in a few years. I went from going abroad to visiting, different countries. That was my university life. But once I went into my career and building my career, I hadn't gone anywhere for a while. And so then I said, okay, I'm going to go to Bali. And little by little, more and more things had been aligning. I had been doing my own spiritual coaching with a beautiful, her name is Inez. And so I was working with her for probably over the year. And she had been showing me more and more things. And then with my girlfriend, Monica, saying, definitely need to go to Bali, more and more things started to synchronistically kind of unfold, right? So I said yes. I went to Bali. I had been working on my inner path for a while, but it really started to expedite being introduced to the Giving Business Soul community, which has been over a year now. And with them, I had learned a lot about just the human body, the soul, how we have the different subtle bodies and our energetic body, and it can get really woo-woo, but I was learning so much and I was like, okay. And they also shared with me the insight about Bali, that Bali is just this spiritual, energetically, a beautiful space to go and explore. So I said, okay. So I went, and I had heard stories of where they, really didn't plan anything. When the founder actually of Prosperity Homes had planted a seed in my mind and said that when he went with his wife, they just went with the flow. They didn't plan anything. They didn't even have their hotel booked. They kind of just went with it. And so I was inspired by Jeremiah. So I did the same thing. I didn't have anything planned. I just kind of went, and it worked out beautifully. I ended up being introduced to a spiritual teacher, a Balinese priest. His name was Kumang, and he was there at the beautiful hotel that I ended up being at. And it was under renovation, and I think symbolically it was like an outer representation of what was going on within me as I was under renovation in that trip. Because it kind of just, one thing kind of opened up, and I did a healing with him. And one of his biggest things he said to me, he said, Sandra, I really just need you to be honest with yourself. Whatever is really coming up for you, just be honest. And I said, okay, that's pretty simple. I think I can do that. Couple days go by. I shared with him because I had been doing meditations with him. I had gotten, like you spoke earlier about, a download. Mm-hmm. And I had gotten a download that I wanted to do a purification. Mm-hmm. And the purification was of me shaving my head. And I wanted to cut my hair. And I remember sharing it to him, and I said, come on, I want to cut my hair. And I think if I would have shared it with one of my girlfriends, they would have been like, Mija, like, why don't you just go get a massage or something?
Píntatelo, nomás un poquito, no mucho.
Yeah. Mind you, I was platinum blonde at the time. And I was really had already been platinum for 2 years. And I was really just really trying to figure something else out with it too. And so then he was just so beautiful. And he was the perfect person to tell it to, the first person I told. And I said, this is coming through for me. And he said, if it's in your heart, you must.
Yeah.
Remember what I shared with you. Yeah. Be honest with yourself.
Honest.
And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And with the beautiful guidance of him, it was a ceremony. It was a purification ceremony that I did. So it wasn't just me, getting the buzz cut and it was done. Right. It was intentional everything was intentional. To the day that it was chosen, to the time that it was done. He asked for my birthday. In the Balinese calendar, I was born on a Thursday. So symbolically, the rebirth would take place on a Thursday. Wow. So we did it January 2nd, 2020. Wow. And he had me wear a white cloth to symbolize the purification. They were holy colors and also with the gold. We also did it at 5 a.m. We had our offerings we were doing to the temple, but also to we did an offering also once we released the hair into the ocean. Ooh. So it was a beautiful ceremony, purification ceremony that I had never witnessed. I had never been around. I have never been exposed to it culturally growing up, but it was just in my heart and perfectly divinely orchestrated to have the Kumon guide me with it, and I was just open the whole time, and it was perfect for me because it really was a purification. I was going through so many shifts, and I knew this year was going to be a big year.
Well,
Did we not know?
Evidently, right? Well, how beautiful that is that you were able to experience that and receive that download of clarity and of the divine and just moving forward with it. What beautiful synchronicity and alignment. And this pandemic, as horrible as it is also is an opportunity for us as humans and humanity, because you can either go one way or the other way. And you chose to live your life in a positive way, bringing happiness, joy, and love, and bringing forth the divine. And you can go the other way, which is the way that we don't want to be in, because that's not where it comes from the heart. So, oh my God, I'm just, wow. And you're such a young woman, and this is beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Not everybody goes through something like this. Not everybody.
Right. I felt like it was a beautiful balance of the masculine and feminine that you kind of speak to, because I felt like it was the feminine aspect of me to allow this, to be open to this, to say yes and surrender to what would be possible for me doing this ceremony. But then there was this masculine side of me that I have built so strongly into being a risk taker, into being that brave, courageous person to say, yeah, I'm going to shave my head. This is a ceremony that I'm doing for myself.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people may not understand. You know what I mean?
That's okay.
And I'm going to do it anyways.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful balance of that masculine and that feminine. I feel that's what I'm really here to definitely empower other women to see, is that I am doing the work of building my spiritual path, but I'm also committed to my family business and growing this ecosystem. So I don't see it necessary to choose.
Right. And marinate.
I'm unifying. I'm doing a dance for both.
Yep. And it flows. And it flows easily. And that's what we as women, as Latinas, need to really hone in, that things that are beautiful and aligned with your spirit and your soul will always flow easily. As my girlfriend says, with ease and grace. And I could talk to you all day.
We could.
Definitely. As we're closing out, I always ask my my guests, like, what tips can you provide? What hack that you have to do every day so that you can step into your own queen and handle your shit?
Thank you, babe. Yes, and I really enjoy this conversation because it's through this time where we pause and reflect on what's going on that the breakthrough is kind of like, oh, that did happen. That's what I did do. So thank you, babe, for creating that space and that acknowledgement. I'm so grateful for you. One thing that I would love to share is, spirituality is universal. And maybe that would be my one thing that I can share with these ladies and say, when I did my ceremony, it was, we took bits and pieces from different religions, symbolically, Buddhism. We had, the temple we visited also with the Balinese. And so I was raised Catholic. There's so much harmony happening with this ceremony that I'm really, truly embodying more of like a universal connection to direct source of God. Yeah. So I would love to encourage the hack or the tip is really connecting to the divine in my unique way and encouraging them to divine and to connect with their divine in their unique way. Let's stop, putting these limiting boxes on, oh, that's not this religion, or oh, I'm not that. If it connects with your heart and it is a ritual or a practice that you feel aligned with, then do it. It makes your heart happy. Don't feel restricted by these different religions. If it feels connected to your heart and it can allow you to convene with the divine in your own special way, I would say do it. So that would be my hack, because it's really created so much more peace in my life, not having to fit in one box. Yes. And really doing little practices that I can, putting flowers at my altar for my for the Virgen, and I just love having that special one time. Yeah. And then I also have my devotional that I read. It looks different every day. There's not a set structure. I do want to say that. But the one consistent thing is that I do connect with God. Mm-hmm. And I reach out for that as much as I can.
Ah, amen. Amen. Bring it, bring it, bring it. I love everything that you said, and I am truly honored. And I know that nuestras amigas y también los amigos que están escuchando van a aprender bastante. Muchísimas gracias, mi vida. Thank you, my love. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So grateful for you.
Love you.
Love you so much.
Bye.